All right. Well, as I destroy people's time zones and make people rush around, welcome everybody to the Peasants podcast. We are probably an hour early for most people around the world. Times changed and went forwards or backwards or upside down in Australia, and we launched a little early for the US. So we apologise and we welcome everybody in. First of all, let's do our little introductions. Today's guest is a legend of the DayZ console community, been around for a squillion years, has brought some of his legendary servers back around for us to sample, which we will do later on the left-hand side. Mr. LastDayZ mods, hello, good sir. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, hello. Glad to be here.
And of course, our PvP enthusiast, who we're really going to stretch out today, Mr. Undead. Welcome, welcome.
Howdy, hey. Yeah, fucking hour early.
That's it. So the boss is going to cop some angry emails later on. Dear Greedy, launched early, made me rush. We will talk about this with HR. Please get your shit organised.
That's how you deal with it. Just send it to the HR department.
Go straight to HR.
Straight to HR. Queen will take care of it. She'll print it.
Not my problem.
And shred it, and we'll continue on with the day.
Yeah, that'll be that.
But yes, welcome everybody to the podcast. By standards, we are a little bit early, but not an Australian world, which the peasant thinks the world revolves around him. What a goose. But today's guest is Mr. LastDayZ mods. He owns plenty of the quality servers that we grew up with, especially in the COVID era. One of our absolute favourites, 357 Ways to Die, Cops and Robbers, a staple for the CC community. We are going to dive into a little bit about the history of LastDayZ mods and a little bit of history about the server and what he's got cooking up in the backlogs. But before we do that,
it's the Peasant Podcast. We're having a blast with the DayZ community, so take a seat real fast. Server owners and coders, content creators and streamers, showing off the community with all their features. Issues with updates, someone's mistake, new things they added, angry players it makes. Get in chat, voice your opinion, you're the community, we wanna listen. It's the Peasants Podcast, TPP, putting out the word about the DayZ community. The greedy peasant, the host of the show, with over 12,000 hours, DayZ is all he knows. Let's introduce the panel, it bring the show to life. From the community, they'll get me in strife. Chat moderator, queen peasant, player and server admin Q. Server owner, coder, streamer, lady boss, streamer and PvP enthusiast, undead gamer. Server owner, admin and coder, Brandon. It's the Peasant Podcast. We're having a blast with the DayZ community, so take a seat real fast. Get in chat, voice your opinion, you're the community, we wanna listen. It's the Peasants Podcast, TPP, putting out the word about the DayZ community.
let's kick into some server advertisement news. As I said, if you want to get your server on here, get yourself a poster, DM it to Greedy, and we will fire away. We have one extra little promo to run afterwards. I've got a little Halloween surprise in the works.
Halloween comes to TGP minigames. Adventure through our horror maze. Make it to the end if you can.
Alrighty, well there's our little run through. As I said, we've got a little Halloween special happening here on TGP Minigames. Grab your friends, go for a run, battle your way through the infected and make it to the end. So you can check that out all the way up to October. And as I said, if you've got a post you want to drop in, please do so. We fire these every week. Just a little bit of extra advertisement for the servers. Even if you're a streamer, we're happy to do a streamer one too. We'll open it right up. Phoenix, I think I've got a better image for 24/7. So just leave it with me. I'll modify it. I think that was your blurry one, and for some reason it captured right at the blur. You know, modern technology for you. Peasant still struggles with those sorts of things. You know, time. But we'd like to welcome everyone in. We've got Mr. Pooh Wi-Fi in the house. Welcome, good sir. Mr. Latch Joker. We've got Mr. Phoenix 83. Mr. Teabag in the house. Rightio, let's dive into our interview. Now, as I said, Mr. LastDayZ Muds, or known as the Counsellor, as we've known him for a very long time. We met way back in the COVID era. Started with a hectic little server, Mr. 357 Ways to Die. And you've merged your brand to epic proportions, stepping outside the server realm and into coding bots to help the coding community. I know my name is Jason. I've used that a few times and still gets used to this day, which is an epic feat for yourself. But first of all, we want to know a little bit about yourself. So tell us about yourself and how you got addicted to DayZ.
Yeah, so father of three, empty nester.
Yeah, that's not the greatest.
Unexpectedly. Yeah. He went to visit his girlfriend and never came back.
Legend.
Yeah, and apparently he had it pre-planned because everything was gone, so I should have known ahead of time. But, yeah, we're adapting to that. But,
so good fortunes to you.
Yeah. We're young enough to enjoy it. We started early, so yeah.
That's the best
as far
thing.
as go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
that's the best thing.
absolutely,
I'm in
man.
the same position. I'm 40 odd, no kids. They all empty nested me. I think it's time to stretch your legs and get right into gaming. There's no excuses now.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of so weird that I happen to just start getting back
It all fell into place.
No coincidence at all. Yeah, no, I mean, I am definitely back after, call it a sabbatical.
Oh, LastDayZ,
Yeah, I mean,
your mic's bouncing in and out.
uh-oh. Let's see if I can.
As I say,
Is it any better? Am I clear?
that's better. That's better. It might be just the mic
You're
right.
clear.
monitoring.
You just cuts for a second or two.
Yeah, mic monitoring.
All right, I'll try not to touch anything again.
That's it. Just step away from the mic. Step away from the mic.
We found the sweet spot, so we'll leave. But yeah, I got into DayZ right around COVID, off of work, and saw this thing on Game Pass and caught my interest. Spent the first 2 weeks dying every run that I took. Thought it was a big accomplishment when I finally got a backpack. And so I said, I was just determined I wanted to make this game fun for me, so I started looking at tricks and whatnot, and yeah, found out about community servers. I was on official and bounced around on a few different community servers, had some good experiences, but mostly bad. Guy I was running with, we decided after the server we were playing on closing, we decided, you know what, let's over to run it at opening up our own server. And we did that. I won't say it was wildly successful, but it created some lasting relationships that are standing to this day. I don't know what was, I can't really say what was so special about it. I think it was honestly just players.
Yep.
That's what we're bringing back now, is kind of a revamp of that original first server that we started, and taught myself to code thanks to YouTube. I guess I can't say I taught myself. I'll say YouTube taught me to code.
That's it. Certified YouTube qualified.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And yeah, it kind of branched out from there. You know, I mean, I was basically hooked at that point. Just got absolutely addicted to the coding side of it, and couldn't get enough of it, and kept pushing myself to learn more and more, push the boundaries a bit, try new things. Yeah, we launched out into our first theme deathmatch, which wasn't necessarily a planned thing, but yeah, we kind of branched out from there. But yeah, I mean, it was really just boredom during COVID that got me hooked on DayZ.
It's amazing how a world pandemic brought so many people together when we were kept so far apart.
Yeah, and you know, I think that's what made that first server at least for me, is like you said, we were all, you know, kind of quarantined, a whole lot of human action in the real world, but we could all come together, and we had a safe zone, that server, and a boxing arena in the middle, and could get together with people from literally all around the world and suck it up, have a good time, and enjoy a common game together. And it's kind of like our escape and our really the only socializing we got to.
No, and I 100% agree. The DayZ savior of COVID was an absolute eye opener for not only exploring the world, you know, beyond our walls, but also you know, diving into the cultures of other people, finding out what was happening around the world. You know, what's happening in your country? Are you locked down? You know, it was a massive information overload. So after diving into the first server and starting with the theme servers, what drew you to coding the Discord bots?
Yeah, I think it was really just, honestly, it was spending hours and hours my coding things that I realized probably be streamlined somehow, some way. And there were some other tools out there I was taking advantage of. Um, but I thought, there's got to be a way to, self included. Quite frankly, some of it was built out of just selfishness. Like I would rather have a Discord command do this for me than me spend 6 hours doing it. And so after kind of looking at some of the other out there, um, and my main feature at the time, I guess, was deathmatch server.
Yeah.
The map group POS. How can you only spawns in one area that you want, and do that quickly instead of going through literally manually delete areas, map groups proto. How can you go in and change some of those and tags so that it's more streamlined. And so I got together with a coder. I can code for DayZ, but I certainly can't code a bot myself. The coding work, but certainly worked with him every step of the way as far as what features I wanted. And yeah, just came up with really the first step was to take the biggest time drainers and streamline those. That's what we tackled first.
Yeah, because for those who don't know the code inside of it, a lot of the applications of building a deathmatch is segregating the area down. It's multiplying how much loot comes in. It's it's really squishing everything you want to into the small area to maximize loot spawnage. And of course server performance. So it's a very long and tedious process to do if you're going to do it manually.
Right.
And
Yeah, in particular the map group proto. I mean, I think one of the common mistakes I saw helping other people with their servers is, people boost their loot and they boost all the loot in the types file, but then they don't do anything to the map group proto. And if you don't do that, it's like you're telling the game to spawn all this loot, but there's nowhere for it to go. So in the map group proto, you have to actually go in and, unlock, if you will, or up the numbers of the loot spawn points. And, a lot of people don't know how to do that. And if you're doing that manually, going into each building in the game, counting how many possible loot spawns and then correcting those numbers, that can take hours and hours. I mean, we're talking about 30,000 lines of code that you have to go in and count to make sure you're getting your numbers right. And to me, that was the biggest headache every time I did a deathmatch server.
100%, especially when you have to sit there and count the spawn lines, how much loot can spawn in that particular building, knowing if it's the right building, learning the names of the building and stuff like that. It's
Right.
It's a lot of knowledge that you have to, and one little mistake corrupts the whole lot.
Yep. Yeah, sure does.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, one punctuation mark at a place can.
100%. How people, Mr. Pooh Wi-Fi says, how people chose to code is beyond me. I think it comes down to, like when you want to get something like a little death match going, and it starts from there, and then you start to progressively learn. It's probably taken me, 4 or 5 years to get to where I am now, and it's only the consistent pursuit in trying to expand what I want to produce on the actual map that makes me need to change stuff. this particular build here, like spawning in cars above the ground that fully work. That's something I only recently found out, and well, I didn't find out. I knew how to do it, but didn't know how to actually put it in. And I think it's the slow progression as you want to add more and more in that builds your tool set. But you know, when you've got,
I think it's also just seeing the completion of what you did. Like anybody who's ever done any kind of building or construction, you know, that's one of the rewards, right? Of like showing up to a job site, there's a pile of dirt, and then when a sidewalk or a foundation for a, and just having that sense of completion. For me, that's what it was, is sitting there on my computer for hours, punching in a bunch of lines of code, and then popping it into my server, and then running the bot and see, hey, you know, look what I built. I think it's also that sense of completion and building something.
Yeah, and sense of accomplishment. You know what I mean? Especially with the tools
Right.
that we have these days. Editor is a massive tool that we have in the code in Run. If you, rather than now spending hours and hours as we used to do fine tinkering the code, we can spend more time on actually designing stuff and making stuff look 1,000 times better.
Yeah. And fun fact too, I don't know if anybody else ever used it. I was a late editor. I used for the first probably year, maybe even DayZ offline mode, which is not nearly as involved as the DayZ editor. And finally somebody kind of turned me on to that, and I'm like, oh man, this is way easier.
Well, I've even had we've had a guest on who was coding it by locating the positions through the logs and then actually writing the code. I don't know how they were doing that through JSONs. That's beyond my capability or thought or but massive builds all handwritten.
Wow, that's hard. I mean, especially getting the depth of the building and all of that. That's hardcore.
Yeah. T-Bag says, understanding this, the CLE and how the elements work with others takes some time. Once you have the understanding of all the tags and map definitions, it all starts to come together. I 100% agree with that. It becomes like, I always put the DayZ server code down like the Matrix. Especially when my wife walks in and sees me with this just list of code on Nitrado. And I'm like, it's all right, G. I know what all this is doing. I can see look, there's the TPP, there's the couches, there's the fireplace. That's where the beers sit.
Yeah, again, that's part of the fun of it, right? Is taking this long list of 1,000 lines of code and turn into something like this, like this, actively play on and use. Yeah, I mean that's half the fun of it, and it's tedious. It is, but like T-Bag said, once you kind of figure out the core structure and how it works together, it simplifies things. Sure, and that's kind of how I learned, was just file, one at a time, and I knew what every line would actually do game, so that I had a full understanding of what everything was.
Yeah, and that's where I think as a coder I'm exactly the same. I had to I can't learn by somebody just saying this is what you got to do. You've got to send me the examples, and I've got to work out why it works and how it works and the reasoning it works and how it collaborates with the rest of the coding to fully understand it and to be able to change it.
Right. Yeah. I think my first batch of death matches were all just copy paste code that I got free downloads elsewhere. But I wanted to know, okay, so how did they accomplish this? Taking those files, analyzing them, and learning what each thing did. and then being able to replicate that on my own. But not everybody has that gene. Same thing like with playing an instrument. Pick up a guitar and get a few finger cramps and say, that's it. I'm not built for this. I'm not doing this.
That's the peasant right there. My eldest can pick up a guitar and listen to music and just play like there's nothing else. Me, no idea how they do that sort of stuff.
But I mean, everybody has to have that kind of breakthrough moment. And with learning to play a guitar, you got to kind of fight through some of the finger cramps and blisters on the fingertips, and then all of a sudden, wait a second, I think that actually sounded like music last time. As you progress, it kind of, it encourages you to go along. And I mean, back to the original question, the whole point of was to kind of streamline others that have a nice server for play on, and to provide some simple shortcuts so they can, kind of get from point A to point B without taking a year or two and breaking their server multiple times before they get the outcome they want.
Yeah, that reliable, fast streaming service that will work. Not the up in arms questions of, is this going to work? Let's hit restart and praying.
Right. Yeah, and then dealing with, 150 DMs from all your player base, like, hey, why isn't this working? And I logged in and I'm in the middle of the water now. What's going on?
It sounds like my DMs.
Certainly speaking from experience.
And don't you just love those DMs at the start of a new server opening? Like, oh no, what's this gun gonna be?
I screwed something up somewhere.
Do you have any other bots that you have that that they've made to help coders apart from My Name is Jason?
No, nothing in the works yet. I mean, really, this one, and truth be told, it's been down for a while, and we're getting it back up. And the original idea was so that somebody could essentially code their entire server. Anything that was possible to be done on a Discord bot, I want to make sure that it could be done. We're still a long ways away from that.
Yep.
But we got to get our hosting back up and running. I've been having a little bit of difficulty with my original coder, kind of getting back in communication with him. So we're at a little bit of a crossroads now. Do I find a coder for that, or keep trying to, get him motivated? I certainly don't have the bandwidth to go in and learn all the coding myself. If there are any coders listening, I'm searching.
Teabag. Sorry.
Yeah. Actually, him and I have been in communication. I was actually say, hey, I'm ready to.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, LastDayZ Proto Tool is a hell of a time saver. Even I made good use of it. Yeah, I know he's a big fan of the tools that you put out. And being someone who taught me how to code, that's a big raps for you. You're the God's God. So a big hats off to you, my friend, for your contribution to helping people out on the owner side of it and the coding side of it.
Yeah, I mean it's like I said, it's my pleasure. I mean, the hope obviously is that copy paste, although that's fine, but somebody would be inspired, just like I was, to kind of, okay, so that's cool. I have the file now and it works, but how does it work? Why does it work? Dive in and kind of learn, and at least at that point you have a working server to go off of. Versus, can't tell you how many broke my original server and had to do a full wipe and piss off half my player base and let them know it's gonna be okay. I'll fix it. I promise, guys.
Oh god, the amount of times I've done that, deleted all my cars, spawned in 15,000 landmines. Or because I wanted to tinker. You ever get to the point that you think, why did I touch it? Why didn't I just leave it alone?
Why didn't I just leave it alone?
Just pull over.
Yeah, the biggest piece of advice I could give is always keep backups. I have almost an entire hard drive worth of backup files, so I can always go in and just find something. Where's the last working version of this?
Yep. Either that or if something corrupts. Unfortunately, with, data and technology, I've had editor files corrupted and it throws everything out and you got to go back through it. Backup every stage. Best advice I get hands down.
Yeah. I think one of the more difficult things was when they switched from, it was obviously a huge breakthrough when we were able to start using JSON files builds, but I had all these builds from back when still had to do everything through events and events files, and it's like, okay, well, I guess they'll still work, but are they as reliable? And JSON, that was actually the original version of the bot, was converting your event files and events to JSON files so that you could take those builds and create a JSON file. Obviously do that now just using the DayZ editor. That feature is no longer available through the bot because quite frankly, it's just not necessary anymore.
Yeah, it's no longer required. But yes, back in the day when we used to spawn buildings in the same way as we spawn in infected, that we spawn in guns on the ground. That's how it used to actually happen. Things would actually just be an event, and then the unlocking of JSON. But that's cool that that's where it started. It went from a bot converting all those cool builds at the very start into something that was still reliable, on your server after the big JSON move.
Yeah, and that was, now the name has changed. It's no longer my name. Now it's just the LastDayZ coding bot. But yeah, the original function of that bot was specific for that reason. At the time, there was nothing to convert. Just basically had to rebuild everything again, or go in, take your coordinates manually. And if you remember from the event state, those coordinates as a clipping and things like that weren't always exactly accurate. So those coordinates, building may be slightly off from where you thought it was going to be.
Yep. Or if you did get it right over time, it would sort of start to separate as the positioning of the events would slowly move apart.
Right. Yeah.
See, we had it the hard time.
So
you guys have got it
origin.
easy now. Easy. Back in the day, we had to fucking really get in there.
Yeah. The JSON and even, I think before affected area, I know people that for a while using affected area file to on and build that. But yeah, adding that access to those files really cool.
Yeah, that's hectic. Mr. Teabag said I got asked for a converter a couple of weeks back to convert old event builds to JSON. I think it was epic, to be fair. Good. That used to be fun, but it was how we separated the men from the boys back then. Well, the Pets wouldn't know how to do that, so he's still running in the boys category. Just coming into manhood now.
I haven't touched an ounce of coding. I'm an infant.
It's not for everyone.
You're listening, yeah.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
But
it's one of those things, you either love it or you hate it, and
it's also a lot easier now, and this is why you get
true.
A lot of young people server owning and just grabbing, you know, builds off servers, grabbing coding off other coding websites and coding discords, and sort of being able to build a server. Whereas back when we first started, you had to learn coding to become to actually own the server. These days, you don't really need to know coding. You just slap some builds in, watch some YouTube flicks on how to put it in, and Bob's your uncle. You've got a server up and running with some custom files.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a lot of truth to that are out there. But I mean, I think, and you know, Bag may be able to second this, but probably one of the biggest mistakes I see. I mean, you see on a lot of these servers 50 times loot, max boosted loot, and then you get on the server and you're like, okay, where? Nothing here.
Yep.
Unless you dig in, because like I said earlier, a lot of people think you have to do up the numbers in your types file. But, you know, unless you really dig in and actually know what you're doing and how to accomplish that, you'll get some of these kids that throw a server up and they grab some of the files somewhere, know how to actually accomplish some of it's always pleasant when somebody does know how to actually
Put up.
Yeah, certainly the availability is yeah, but the availability for helps and custom builds is certainly a lot more prevalent.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But let's move on to the journey of the brand. So we kicked off the original server, started our own, then we moved into obviously the theme death matches. Tell us more about the passion for the theme death matches, because you had quite a few there for a while.
I did, yeah. So yeah, I mean, truth be told, the first deathmatch servers that I are exactly like we just talked about. I had grabbed some free maps off of a site, and really it was just to kind of have a little area for us to people on the main server, my server, to go and practice PvP. So I threw I think it was Balshad, one of his maze map servers, and then there was a prison island. So those were my first deathmatch servers, and really the only idea behind it was just to go with people from my main server and go be able to shoot other up. And then just so happened I was actually on a run with a couple of people, Aiden and Faraday. And I have to give them full credit for the first idea and concept behind the 357. We were on a run somewhere on one of the servers, and we were just chatting away, and I can't remember who, but one of them said, you know, it'd be cool like a Western style, and you had to use revolvers and stuff. And so I'm sitting there listening to them talk about this. Automatically in the back of my mind, okay, how can I make this a reality?
The code starts to bubble.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you know, certain people would hear that and think, yeah, that's cool, but a coder will hear that and go, yeah.
I reckon I could pull that off.
Yeah. So about 15 minutes into the conversation, all right, guys, I think I got it. And about 2 hours later, I message and say, all right, guys, the server's going to be up in about 10 minutes. And the first 357 was born, and it really just took off. And then I just kind of started thinking, well, man, there's so many different possibilities with this. People play it so many different ways, you know, and the way people like to RP. What other themes work? And I think next one was cops versus robbers. Hey, we're already on Prison Island. I mean, why not just have like a little robber shack down on one side of the island and then a prison on the other, and a police fight. And yeah, it just kind of built from there. And then the Pirates one, that was probably that was a more difficult one to kind of figure out the right year to put in.
Especially
that one was a lot of fun.
In the early days, trying to,
Yes.
where we couldn't get builds close to, or spawn points close, out in the middle of the water or anything like that.
Yeah. Very, very difficult. The first original map was out in the middle of the water, in the middle of nowhere. It was really unreliable as far as where to spawn in, just because it was out in the that island is. It's way out in the middle of nowhere. I don't think it even shows up on the map.
I think it was Debug, wasn't it?
Yeah, Debug Island. Yep. Yes. And so that was the original location, but it's unreliable. It every time. I finally had to move it inland. Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. That one was fun.
Yeah, 100%. And then from the death matches, you then expanded into back to the no, you went hardcore after that in the Famine Lands.
Yes, yeah. So, truth be told, I mean, that's my preferred play style. I like to play played. It's a survival game at its core. I enjoy that element, and I think when you get into some of these high loot servers, custom builds everywhere, you kind of start to lose some of that. But if I'm being honest, it draws players. It just a lot of the base core group of players, they kind of want the easy path, right? Grab a gun and go shoot people. That way a lot of people play.
Yep.
So I put those up, in all honesty, 5 times, which was just a heavily boosted server, and you would spawn into a PvP arena, fight your way out, and then go. And I'm being 100% honest. I didn't create that server because that's the way I like to play. I created that server because that's what and I knew that it would populate pretty quick. And I created the Famine Lands very shortly after that. And the hope, if I'm being honest, was that I would draw some players over to that server. But yeah, the hardcore was 100% favorite one to play.
Yeah, and it was quite a good challenge too. I played it multiple times, especially when it first kicked off. When you had the Great Maiden running around, looking after it. Back in the
that was a
days.
fun one. And for those that don't know or never got to play on it, basically what it was, Famine Land's title was, we removed all food from the maps. No food anywhere. You had to hunt or fish. Obviously, game, you spawn in and you're going to have to eat pretty quickly. So the only thing that was boosted in the game was knives. And this was back before you could craft a stone knife, a bone knife, and before you could do custom loadouts. So you had to find a knife pretty quick. And Greedy, I don't know, I think you had some experiences where you're chasing a cow around, blinking on red,
trying to pin him,
to stab a cow,
trying to pin him against the water so they glitch out, so I can stab him. And
it was a riot though. It was
that was
I ran on those servers with my buddies. Someone always ended up getting eaten.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right?
Famine Lands.
There was always one moment where everyone would look at each other, and then one of us was dead moments later.
Yeah, who's going first?
Right. Yeah.
We're all hungry here. We're all in the red. Somebody's got to go.
That's it. The weakest
Looks like
person.
meat's back on the menu, boys.
That's it. More meat for the meat eaters.
Yeah, but that's this game, right? Don't get that when a high server where every building you go into, everywhere, and I mean, there's definitely an element of fun to that.
Yeah,
But I
100%.
really want to take a good run on DayZ. I want the survival side of it.
And not only that, being in that position where you're with your friends, but one of you is probably going to get eaten in the next 5 minutes. It adds a
Right,
different
somebody's going
element
to
to
be on
the
the menu
whole.
by the end of this run.
That's it. Or if you're on the opposite scale, if you're a solo and you see somebody else, is at the point that I'm not attacking them to grab their pear or to grab their bandage. Now I'm attacking them to eat them. It's the core essence of survival.
Right. Yeah. And, I mean, you think about some of the changes the developers have made over the years. I think they've really tried to drive the point home, too, that this is the way we want this game played. It's a survival game. And
Yeah, and I think Badlands is really going to bring out that aspect of survival style and those elements that you had in Famine Lands, where you're going to be spawning in and have to be pulled to action straight away, whether it's trying to find water or trying to find food. I think that element's going to play a big part of the next map.
yeah, I hope so. I'm excited for it. And yeah, I mean, that's just it, right? I mean, part of the fun of this game is, okay, what's most important next, right? Do I find food or do I find clothing because I'm living everywhere? Or do I build a fire? What's the next logical best step so that I don't die?
Yeah, 100%. And also, and I think this is where the learning curve kicks in, I need a fire because I'm cold. Okay, so the next step is I need a fire that's safe because I'm cold. Oh, I need to be miles away from everybody, hidden in a bush, stuffed away to hide all the light so I can get warm. That slow progression as you move out and understand what the do's and don'ts of DayZ are.
Yeah.
So, bringing up to current date, we have 357 back on the books. We have Cops and Robbers, but you have a new server out, a mix from the old with a little bit of new. Can you tell us about that server?
Yeah, so the original server, it was an RP element mixed in. Server we had been playing on factions, and we were still kind of learning the game. We learned what factions are, and so getting it around with my original partner, who I play with, Revan Reborn, we thought, it's kind of cool to have preset factions, having players join and create their own factions, which, that was still allowed, but we basically took each, at the time, there was just flat-colored armband, cut the flags up and make. And so we said, well, let's take each of the different play styles that we come across in the game. Came across players that like to help other players, across players that they just want to shoot everybody they come across. We came across, like we just talked about, players that are cannibals.
Yep.
And so we created these preset factions. We had the bandits, had the cannibals, the medics, and those were already established. It was a mild RP, telling players have to create a character and act a certain way. But if you're going to join that faction, we want you to kind of join the faction that fits your play style. Genuinely like to run around and help other players and drop food and meds for players you come across, and and the medics. And we also had the mercenary mercs, players that would defend other players that maybe weren't. And man, it just really kind of took off. Yeah, it was epic, man. I mean, and then we had players that like to build. This was again, this was like as I was learning code too. So at the time, I didn't know how to spawn set building that or build a boxing arena. Everything we built in that first server was in game. We materials in the game, and so the contractors would, we would hire them to go build us an arena or a trader or what. And then we had a safe zone, and it's a very heavily structured. And then the next, probably most successful beyond the death matches, was 5 times. Got up to a 70 slot on that one, and had a queue for probably at least a good solid year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was wildly successful, and so I still communicate with a lot of players from the original very first. They've been begging me for years, bring back the OG, bring back the OG. And so I thought, well, I enjoyed that. There was a lot of really good times, but I also know 25 times highly successful. So let's maybe try to get the best of both worlds. And so that's kind of what we're doing with this one. It is a boosted loot server. However, I've taken like the tiered guns, fours, and like that, and kept them at the proper tier. Some of them you can only find in gas zone. So in order to get like the good loot, quote unquote, you still have to search for it. You still have to go to some of those high risk areas, because I wanted to keep that intact. And so we kept that intact. And the other element pulled 5 times is you do spawn into an arena, and you have to fight your way out, and you have the original safe zone, boxing or, and then I created a we always called it paintball, but really it's just rubber bullets.
Slugs, yep.
Yeah, rubber slugs. And so there's an arena there, safe zone, where you rubber slugs or have a boxing match and just out. I mean, one of the coolest things about that original server is every time you came into the safe zone, you never knew what you were going to get. There were people take over the microphone, and they would be DJing or having some wild barbecue. I mean, it was just a madhouse. So enjoyable. I can't tell you how many messages I got from people like, man, this was the best time I've ever had in this game, just being in the safe zone and all the antics. We want to kind of try to bring some of that back, and yeah, I mean, it's brand new. So right now we're just trying to populate it, which is not 100% easy after being. But yeah, I've got high hopes for it, and
it sounds pretty hectic, especially you can go in there and join yourself a faction and become part of the medics or the cannibals or the mercenaries. And a lot of the time we find solos looking for friends and looking for people to run with, and that's a great opportunity to be able to fall into a class of people and run with the same like-minded people with obviously the same goals. You can, if you want to learn the medic side of it, you can just run around, be a medic. If you want to be a builder, you can learn the different aspects of the game just playing with the different factions.
Right. Yeah, and you can fall in with a group of people that like you said, they like the building side of the game, like they like to go shoot other players, or they like to help other players. Like, hey, these guys raided us and we're looking for revenge. All right, we'll hire the mercenaries, and they'll go get those guys back or whatever.
So you give them a little touch up.
Yeah, or the bandits. I mean, I can't clips I have from the original bandits faction of like taking the police chief hostage and like demanding a ransom from the police faction. I mean, it was RP, not like this RP, and that's what we ask of the people. Look, just act like the role that you're joining. Faction, just to create your own faction. There's plenty of armbands for that. You're gonna join one of the RP ones. Have some fun with it, man. Play the part a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, definitely gonna have to dive across and have a crack at that. What's it called? Is it True OGs?
It's True OG.
We've just
and that's really just a nod and a shout out to the original
peeps. The Discord is up in chat if you want to come and join that and maybe hop into one of the factions and become a Flavor Flav, or if you've got yourself a faction and you want to port it across to a quality community server that's obviously been around for the test of times, definitely a place to go. Is there any questions from chat? Mr. Undead, do you have any questions? Wait for chat to kick up. But I'm really looking forward to diving into there. What are you kicking the server off with slot-wise?
Right now it's a 32 slot. The only faction we have claimed, we do the Bandits have claimed a faction. So Bandits will be on the prowl, so look out. But yeah, 32 slots to start and rest from there.
No, that's the way to go. We do have a question from the Queen Peasant. She says, if you could add a onesie into DayZ, what onesie would you add in?
What, onesie?
Yeah, so it could be everything from a giant costume of any proportion, all the way down to the red underwear with the little square for the butt.
I think that would be epic, honestly. The onesie. I mean, how cool would it be if you came to add element of survival, you actually had to pop open the back of your onesie and find a place in the woods to release yourself. I mean, you have a little piss meter on the side or something.
Oh no,
Yeah.
we're going down.
Oh my gosh, that would be epic.
The upgraded version, there's a gun holster at the front of it, just in case you get caught in mid.
Yeah, so you got your
that's not the
package
gun
and your
you're grabbing.
package.
That's it. Oh, that's hilarious.
I think the red one would probably be
I think it's iconic.
with the opening in the back.
That's it. The red one with the yellow buttons and the opening in the back, just a butt flap.
yeah, that'd be epic. And then just replace like the t-shirt and boxer brief. Awesome.
That's it. Just see those dirty ass underwear coming through as they get ruined. As they get ruined, the little flap appears.
Right. If you don't empty your garbage meter on the right, all of a sudden the round starts spreading in the back. And then soon it's ruined. It's ruined.
Oh no.
It would be definitely a different element if you added in the biological metrics of like Scum has defecation, and I think it'd be used more as an insult than it would be a survival feature.
No, I'd knock
kill a
somebody
guy
out and take a crap.
Right, or kill a guy when his bladder is full.
That's correct.
Oh.
Flies come a
that
little
may
bit
mess
early.
with the ratings of the game a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
That's crazy. All right, well, that's the end of my little interview.
Hold on,
You got a questions?
Yeah, I got my question.
Yeah, far away.
If there was a mechanic or graphical change that you could have say over, what would you like to see in DayZ? What's something that you would want to change or add yourself?
Ooh.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's necessarily. Well, I guess it would be mechanics. Take all feature, epic, especially for like gear swapping. Going with a backpack change or clothing change. a take-all feature would be great instead of having to, grab each item individually. I mean, think about in real life, if you're unloading a backpack, you're typically going to be unloading armfuls of stuff and dumping it in, not necessarily one item at a time. I think something along those lines down the road would be epic.
Yeah, that's
Fair
cool.
enough.
Yeah, I want to be
Take
able to
all mechanics.
unzip my bag and just dump it all in, rather than having to drag it
Yeah.
over one by one. No, 100%.
Right. I mean, at the very least for backpacks. Right? Yeah, I mean, if you're in a rush, especially if you're in a combat situation, that's what you're going to do. You're probably going to open the mouth of one backpack and dump everything into the next and toss that one to the side.
That's it.
Right?
But
I mean, not so much with like a shirt or pants. I mean, you're going to have to empty each pocket, but
yeah, but even on the looting side of it, rummaging through the bags, Tarkov has a very good system for that, where you actually got to click on each individual. You actually have to search the items. I think getting changed and stuff like that would be a good element. So if I wanted to take off a press vest, a hunter's vest, it's simply undoing 4 buttons and removing it, where taking off my plate carrier is a hell of a lot different. It's unclipping, it's a lot of different buttons. It should take a little bit longer to actually remove off my body. So rather than
Right.
making a headshot on a character, swapping out your plate characters super fast, there should be a little bit of time for, like you said, the dumping in the what do you call it? It should be extra time for taking off clothes. Taking off my pants when I got boots on. Have you ever tried to take off your pants when you got
Right.
boots on? No, it's not happening.
yeah, no, it's not going to happen. You're right. Yeah, I think a good blend between certainly add to some of the realism and the survival aspect. Like I said, I enjoy the survival aspect. Little touches of realism like that would be awesome.
Yeah, it would be epic. No, 100% I agree. 100% I agree. But yeah, is that all the questions you have, Mr. Undead?
Yeah, I think that's kind of my go-to.
All
Kind of
right.
like how Queen does her onesie.
That's it. Everyone's got all their Flavor Flaves.
The default questions.
100%. Well,
Yeah.
that's the end of my little interview. We are going to get into something that I really enjoy diving into, and that's zombie bowling. It's been heavily fine-tuned since last week. Last week was the prototype. This week is heavily trialed and tested. So what happens is you grab yourself either the Humvee that's down here, or there may be some cars up the top. Fly down the other ramp as fast as you can, launch it off here, and try and take out as many of the infected on our TPP signs. You get 2 jumps. So once you fall to your epic death, come back into the studio and have another crack. Currently no one has hit anything, so the leaderboard is open.
Really?
So it's up to you guys to put the first points on the board. The Humvee just spawns down
I'm gonna
here.
grab some beers. I'm gonna pregame this.
That's it, pre-grammer, get some beers in here. That's just part of it. But if you, as I said, right up the top of that hill is some other cars up the top. And good luck.
All right, let's do this.
All right, who's coming down first?
Counselor.
Counselor's coming down, all right. Good luck.
Oh.
he nearly got one. Nearly. Give it a bump.
Nearly.
Yeah, he's not that good though.
All right, Mr. Q, go on. Get up the hill. You're in time for zombie bowling.
No, she's right. I'll just watch.
Oh, they just kicked off.
I made it at the end.
Yeah.
I made it at the end.
Is the daughter all good?
Yeah, I'm hoping she get released today.
Oh, that's all right then. Congrats, by the way. Congrats. Another one to your
Yeah,
empire.
thanks, I feel old.
Thanks, I feel old.
You can call me Papa Q now.
Papa Q. We love Big Papa.
I'm coming down.
All right, Mr. Undead. There's no score on the board yet. First jump in.
Let's go.
Oh, he's taken one.
Oh.
It's officially scored. That's what I mean. They're on first
Oh,
jumps. You cannot resist. Was waiting to come back in. Undead with the first official points on the board. And did you go through daylight saving too? Because we went through daylight saving, so
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm surprised that it's 10 o'clock and not 11 like it was last week.
yeah. Because Greedy forgot about it and didn't realise the time went back. Oops. I could have had an extra hour.
Whole extra hour. So how do you get to the top now?
So you drive all the way up there, and then there's a U-turn part where there's a gunter and stuff like that up the top.
I got one.
You got one?
Fuck it,
I got
I'm going.
one.
That's it. Go with the crew. Undead's got one on the board. Yeah, it's plenty of cars and stuff. I'm keen to get on it. I'm keen to have a crack.
Yeah, I jumped on Cops and Robbers last night. There was only like me on there, so I went and got all the goodies and then sat in the PD waiting for when I jump on when it gets popped.
It's fucking 3:57 first, then Cops and Robbers. All right, council up. Let's go. Oh, a bit of a hop. Oh, he's thrown
Oh,
it.
he nicked the
Oh,
wall.
Oh, he's got one.
Oh, yeah!
He's got one.
Nice.
Oh!
Oh, he's wedged it.
Oh, I can't tell.
He got it. He got it. It's officially dead. Mr. Undead wins. Undead wins.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a little bit harder this time. I thought he was going to perch that up there for a second there. If you can perch it up
Just
there,
live there. That's where
you can keep
he
driving.
can just stay there. No, he can stay there. That's where he does the podcast.
Podcast, yeah.
That's just where he lives.
No one can ever touch him. All right. Well, give me 5 minutes. We'll see you across at 3:57.
Right.
It's good to see you. Congratulations, Papa.
Yeah.